Good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday, May 13th, at 9 a.m. and we'll start the work session. We'll kick it off with, public comment. Anybody in the room?
No.
Anybody online? No. Okay, Christina, you want to kick us off with the treasurer's report?
Sure. Morning, Commissioners. Christina Herron, Finance Director for the county. This is our April treasurer's report. And sorry, I'm going. That's okay. I'm going. It's not. You're totally fine. I just can't think of anything. I just like fill the time with work wise, so.
Keep up, Brianna. Keep up.
Come on, Brianna. I think you made really fast today. Okay, we're good. Perfect. Thank you. So as you'll see at the top is a list of all of our bank and investment account balances. And then you'll see the total bank and investment account balance at the bottom compared to our total combined cash with the GL, and then our reconciling items. Change month over month is about $55,000 less than the end of March. So we're holding pretty steady on cash flow, which is good. This is kind of the lull between all of the end of the month or end of the year payments come in. So I anticipate that being reduced over the next months. So the next section is just our pooled cash accounts. This is in our general ledger in the books and how it splits out between our bank codes. And then that number is what's used to put up to the bank accounts. The next section is our cash allocation by fund, so you can see how that cash is split out between all of the different funds of the county. And the following page. My people sick on that fast. Sorry. The next page is a look at our investments and the allocation by investment type right now. So we have about $52.4 million in investments. Those are spread across several funds with varying items in there, whether it be reserve funds or just cash we don't intend to spend as quickly. So they're laddered out over 5 years. The investment value at the bottom compares our book value of our investments to the market value of our investments. And that unrealized gain or loss, just a reminder that our investments are guided by our investment policy under ORS 294. And we typically hold them to maturity, which results in lower risk and more predictable returns, but we probably won't recognize all of that $900,000 of gain that we're showing right now because of that. The next page is just an update on interest rates on the small savings accounts that we have and then the local government investment pool. We didn't see any changes. I can answer any questions if you have any.
High. Force high, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the LJRP is staying at a really good rate. So it's nice to have a little bit more than we were expecting on those funds.
Good job, Christina.
Yep.
Thank you. All right. Oh, you're up again.
I am. This next one is your first look at the proposed fee schedule for fiscal year 2027. These are the fees that would go into effect as of July 1st and are what our budget that was approved yesterday or Monday by the budget committee is based upon. There's two packets here. Exhibit B has all of the changes, so you can see what the current fee was, the proposed fee, and then the change from between the two. Anything that changed, whether the wording of numbers, is highlighted in Exhibit B. And then wording that is being removed has a strikeout in it, so you can see what used to be there in that one. And then you have Exhibit A, which is the clean copy of what the proposed fee schedule would look like as of July 1st. Happy to walk through any of that or answer any questions that you have on those.
And this will be on discussion next week, so if there's any.
Correct, it will be a public hearing next week at the regular meeting.
Perfect. Any more questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Kelly?
I think, the lease, there's a lease and a lease termination. Is the lease on there first?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so, Kelly Caulfield, Airport Manager for the record. So we have an existing building that's being sold. So we've created a new lease based upon our new lease policy, for the buyer. And that's what you're looking at. So I'm, looking for approval of that. With that hand in hand, which is the next item, is the termination of lease for the seller. So it's our boilerplate lease language, nothing changes. There is one thing that I guess I'd like to ask Eric to chime in. This one has a little bit of difference. The buyers and sellers, typically they'll sign the agreement and then they give it to me and I will submit. They don't want to sign. They want to actually, they're nervous about signing early without the approval. So I think, Eric, you had contacted both the buyer and the seller and coordinating
So I got a call from Mr. Cooper. First, he informed me that Mrs. Cooper has passed away. So one thing we'll want to do is update the termination of private hangar lease. That won't change the terms. That'll just change the signature block. And he was going to send me an email message, Mr. Cooper, regarding a date in which might be convenient to have all the parties together to sign at the same time. I haven't heard from him. So. But you're right, he didn't want to sign the lease, until the, termination had been approved. And so his interest was to have some sort of, for lack of a better word, a closing where everybody's in the same room. So the new tenant signs the lease, the termination is signed by all the parties, and the sale documents occur at the same time. So with that in mind, again, I haven't heard from him. He was going to send me an email message. We might reach out to him and just see what sort of timeframe he's on.
Okay. So I know that's a little bit, it throws a little challenge into it. And Eric, we can talk about it maybe afterwards. I just don't know. Typically, we have we did discuss it at a work session, then it goes to a consent agenda, it's approved. The documents are signed by the buyer and seller, and then a commission signs the lease, then it goes to title or the transaction is done. So there's a little coordination that has to go into signing after approval, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a little open-ended. So I guess I'm asking for your review and approval of this contingent upon some coordination, also with myself and Eric and the buyer and seller for signatures. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine with me.
Okay.
Kind of an odd thing, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Does that make sense, Eric?
I think so.
Okay.
So Eric, should I put it on consent then? Pending,
Yeah,
if we hear back before then?
let's put it on consent
Okay.
and if we need to.
And so I think that kind of takes care of both items.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Okay.
That's what I have for today.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
All right, Eric? What? And Russ, you wanna come up to the table?
No, you don't have to sit in the back.
Or you can.
Yeah.
You got a loud voice.
I do.
Hi, Russ.
So Commissioners, what you have in front of you is a draft ordinance, and the discussion today is whether to move this forward to a public hearing or not. Russ is here to share his thoughts on the proposed changes. We ran into a situation last summer where there was a gentleman who was burning outside. Sheriff's office cited him for outdoor burning, but technically what he was doing was not within the definition of outdoor burning, so he really couldn't be cited. This was, however, a day in which literally from his yard where he was burning, could look out and see the plumes of smoke from a wildfire that had started very recently. So not opportune timing for his behavior.
Didn't his burning also cause a large fire?
The gentleman
Well, this is a different one.
the gentleman I'm referring to did not.
But what if it would have, so what happens, Russ, then, now this guy's burning, it's a no burn day. You can't cite him criminally, but then it would go into civil?
Well, so your ordinance is actually the civil process, so, reckless burning, the ORS for reckless burning is damaging the property of another recklessly by either fire or explosion. So 365, 24/7, you cause an explosion or ignite a fire and it damages somebody else's property, and that was deemed to be reckless, you can be cited class, I don't know what class it is, but it's a misdemeanor in the state of Oregon. So that's the criminal side, so that just exists. And then there's arson statutes and other things, when someone intentionally does things like that. The ordinance is really the level below that where, it's not a crime, it's just a violation like a seatbelt ticket. And it runs through your guys' process, it's a county ordinance or a city ordinance if you're inside the city limits. And so you can be cited under, either of those ordinances, depending on where you live, for violating the ordinance. Our current ordinances are born out of, and Seth, you might be the only one that remembers this, but the Prineville, Crook County PM 2.5 Air Quality Particulate Matter Advisory Committee. It was the longest name in history.
Geez, I was gonna say, after the time you do the title, the
yeah.
meeting's over.
That was adapted, so 10 years ago. On purpose, the ordinances for the city of Prineville and Crook County are very similar. They are that way on purpose, because the burn regulations were really written to help navigate the county and the city away from being penalized by DEQ not penalized by DEQ.
EPA.
Yeah, well, it was actually, this is a long rambling answer to, I can get into a lot of that. I don't want to go too far into those weeds. To answer your question, Commissioner, any time of the year, if you cause a fire by being reckless and it damages somebody else's property, you can be cited criminally.
Okay.
The ordinance is to try to encourage people to have good behavior, and manage fire risk really in the summertime is what the county and the city's ordinance is for. More of a nuisance type model, but also to get people to really follow state law when it comes to burning. There's some obscure ORS and things that most people don't know about that cover outdoor debris pile burning and stuff like that really gets wrapped into the county and city's ordinance.
So it used to be like in California, when we wanted to burn, you called a number. And then especially for ag, I'm thinking ag,
Yep.
totally, and then they said it's a burn day or it isn't a burn day. Is that applicable here? Do you call a number to know if it's a burn versus a non-burn?
It is. So your current ordinance requires anybody that would like to burn to first check the Crook County outdoor burn regulations, which are available on our website. They can pick them up any one of our fire stations. And the first thing that document tells you to do is to check to see if it's a burn day. So you can check our website, or call the burn line, which is 447-BURN, 447-BURN. Those update at 7:30 every morning and give a daily designation. In the wintertime, it's either a no burn day or a regulated burn day. In the summertime, it's either a no burn day or a restricted burn day. And each of those have a definition of what is allowed on those days. Next to that sits all of the really legally protected burning, like ag burning, forestry burning, all those sorts of things that are allowed in the state of Oregon. So if somebody wants to burn their field, for example, for an ag burn, they first have to have a copy of that burn regulations on them that the fire district puts out. They then need to check and see if it's a burn day, and then they have to call me and get a permit for their field burn. All agricultural burning or forestry burning requires a permit or permission from the fire district.
Okay.
What we do in that process, it doesn't cost people anything. It's a free permit. It does two things. One, it gives me the opportunity to ask them whether, and really vet out their skill, and equipment and their ability to contain the fire they think they would like to have. And then secondly, it's a notification to our dispatch center so that when
When people call.
friendly neighbors or somebody on the highway panics, or is just concerned and calls 911, we don't send a bunch of law enforcement and fire trucks to somebody that's illegally burning their field for regular agricultural purposes. That same process also applies to people that would like to burn large debris piles. So that's not ag burn, but if they would like to burn a large pile, they're required to call and get permission from the fire district. Again, we do this, the same point is, where is it located? What kind of tools do you have? What kind of experience do you have? What's your plan? And then if we approve it, it's really notification to our dispatch center so that they don't get overwhelmed. And we don't send emergency services to somebody that doesn't need us.
So do you see value in changing our ordinance? I guess
So-
that's my biggest.
Yeah, so the fire district, well, it's always great from time to time to evaluate ordinances and make sure they're either A, still up to date, or two, in this case, potentially, although I don't necessarily agree with the gentleman that argued that that the burn regulations didn't apply to him. An evaluation to make sure that we thought of everything, or that we don't need to change a definition or something like that. So the fire district sees value in going through that process. The fire district would respectfully request that we don't do this right now. We just went into fire season. I don't think now is the time to have public hearings in regards to fire. The public is pretty, some rightfully so, some because of media are just really spun up on the threats of fire at the moment. And I'm just not sure right now, with all that going on, is the time to open up Crook County's burn regulations. The second reason is it really impacts a lot of agencies. So obviously the fire district has a pretty large perspective on what the burn regulations say and what we're doing. City police, county sheriff's department, the DA, these things ultimately end up touch a lot of agencies. And so I think if the commission would like to have a study over the next couple of months to see how their current regulations stand up and could be changed, I see some value in that, but I would recommend getting representatives from all those affected agencies together. So we don't just change one thing and then we dominoed something else and we didn't.
Totally agree. I think that makes a lot of sense.
And so to answer your question, yes, I'm happy to lead a charge of evaluating the county's ordinance and seeing if there's any recommendations for like in the fall, maybe, or in the winter time. But the district would hesitate to open that up right now as we're just really crescendoing into this.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's one of the reasons I thought it would be important for you to be here, because you deal with fire all the time. We have some things on the kind of shoulders of it, and so, yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense, especially if there's a current law that says that if you burn your neighbor's house down, you're gonna get in trouble.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of not adding additional laws when there's already existing laws enacted that we can, and yeah, so.
Yeah.
Okay, I think if you're willing to do that, I think that would be super helpful, and I'm fine removing it.
Perfect.
Or not removing it, but just doing the research we need to make sure we do the right thing.
Yes, and thank you, Commissioner. That would be the district's, we just appreciate having the opportunity to do that. The county can obviously change their ordinance to whatever the county commission would like and the public would like to change it to. Back to my earlier rambling though, again, the current ordinance was born out of, quite frankly, a large public, volunteer committee, that was trying to solve a very particular, concern from air quality a decade ago. And there's just a ton of collaboration and teamwork there. And if we change the county's ordinance, I see some implications on the city's ordinance. And so I just want to make sure
Everybody's coordinated.
is coordinated. That doesn't mean the county can't go do their own thing. It just means that it currently was coordinated, and I just want to make sure we navigate that.
But I mean, I think we need to do the best thing for the citizens and
It just,
make sure that we're on track. And I really like your idea of getting a plan together. And maybe we don't need to change it, again, if there's already laws enacted that hold people accountable if they do the wrong thing.
This was updated not too long ago.
Yeah, Brian, I was trying to remember, it was,
I remember I had some,
yeah, I think honestly, though, it might be 5 years or 6 years ago now. I'm looking in the back, cause, you helped me with it, I think.
yeah,
But time flies and I'm, getting old and I don't remember how long it was, but it was probably longer ago than I remember.
no, you're right. It's a couple
Yeah.
years.
And so, absolutely, it's great to reevaluate things and, from time to time. I'm not sure opening it up right now. Just with the heightened awareness and focus on wildfire and things,
So how do we do this properly that we wanna go ahead and we wanna maybe explore this in the fall and winter and do further, do we need a motion? How do we handle this?
I think we just say, go forward and come up with a plan and we'll work on it later. I mean, that's what work sessions, yeah, I mean.
Is that the way parliamentary that we need to do it?
Yeah, so the discussion today, this is not a hearing to move this forward. This is to talk about the draft changes, if there are other changes to make. If this is just not something you want to pursue, that's what today's conversation is. So if you don't want to move this forward to a public hearing, I don't think there's any motion that needs to follow. There is the chance, though, that between now and whenever something is set up for a committee meeting, that this gentleman or someone like him does the same thing that happened last summer, in which case they cannot be cited under our code. Now, maybe that's a trade-off you're willing to risk. That's the disadvantage of not moving forward.
But again,
There are things that he can be cited if it's serious enough.
If it's serious,
If it's a
right, if it's a
seatbelt
crime,
crime.
but we're not talking about crimes, we're talking about this ordinance.
I think we did just table it,
I agree.
yeah,
I mean, it's not like he's going to prison for it. And the biggest thing is that he's responsible down the road, so I'm fine.
yeah, I think we've tabled it.
I think, okay, so guess what? You have the ball in your hand, in your court.
Yeah, and I'm happy, and I do all summer long, discuss what is appropriate. And what is not appropriate with citizens in Crook County, when their neighbors call and let me know that, hey, my neighbor may not be doing something appropriate, and so I'll continue having those conversations, and even if it's something somebody couldn't be cited for under the ordinance, they get my undivided attention for a little bit of time, and generally that helps curb some.
I would think in this society and the way this is playing out with everything this year, you would have to be totally oblivious of your surroundings to try to do something like that, in my opinion.
Yeah, and unfortunately, someone that wants to burn, like this gentleman does,
Yeah.
The ordinance comes with a max of $500 penalty, but first offense is $50. That's not deterring them from.
No.
Which again, we don't need to be hammering people from making a mistake either, I mean, I think we need to, we live in
We're
a,
being stupid.
well, yeah,
it's more education.
yeah, this is an education arm of the law that if there is something that they actually screw up, they are held accountable, so.
Yeah, and you'll remember that, Seth, 10 years ago, that was, the sheriff at the time, at the time, the representative from the commission and council, when this was created through that air quality program, that was the desire,
Yeah.
this was an education tool, not a hammer.
Yeah.
So
I think-
the hammer comes with, you burn down your neighbor's fence even, that counts, that
Sure.
could be reckless burning, that's a crime, that gets handled in a completely different.
Yeah. Which it should be,
Which it should be.
and we're not changing, or we're not.
Yeah.
We're not stepping back on that, that's still
Yeah.
a law, and
I shudder when I see those ads that I've seen them just recently where the guy's got a torch and he's clearing the weeds and I wanna go, oh my God, can't you either use your hand and pull them or
Yeah.
use Roundup or something,
Yeah.
yeah.
And to Eric's point though, that is the example he's talking about, is somebody who's using a burner to go weed.
Oh, yeah, I know, that's what it is.
He is absolutely responding to a desire from, really, law enforcement of, hey, we had this guy was doing something incorrect. We'd all agree. He got cited and nothing happened, and that feels really frustrating. And so Eric taking this on. And so again, I think it's a great opportunity to reevaluate it. I'm just not sure crescendoing into fire season. Everybody, all agencies have a good level mind to discuss the implications, because there's just a lot of noise going on right now, so.
Okay. Thank you, Russ.
Would you like me to
So
say
is burning barrels closed too?
No, so on a restricted burn day, again, yes, on a restricted burn in the summertime, you can have a burn barrel from 9 AM until noon. There's a host of requirements to go along with that, 25 feet from property lines or structures, 10-foot fuel break around it. You're supposed to have a screen on top of it with mesh no bigger than 1/4 inch. You're supposed to be there at all times. With firefighting tools, it doesn't mean water, it just means firefighting tools. It can be water, but it doesn't mean water. And so the point of that is early morning when the humidity is higher, it is generally okay as long as, and safe as long as people are following the rules, so. Yep, so people just need to check. On a no burn day in the summertime, there's no fires, so. Period.
How do you like the new thing that BLM came out with, that on the Crooked River, it's a fire pit, it's okay, but everywhere else it's not, and you're like,
Yeah,
that got me a little bit.
I struggle too, because again, I've lived in Crook County,
Sure.
a long time, and, fire has had a absolute great use for my entire 40 years of life here in Crook County, and I've done it safely and all the things, but so I struggle with it. I also certainly recognize that our population is maybe made up of folks that didn't grow up here for 40 years and are maybe new to fire and don't have the, perspective that I do on how to maintain it, and so I get the concern also that anybody can just go out and.
Well, I just went to the South Fork, they had a stream restoration thing. And so you do have the fire pits down there at the South Fork, and it's dirt and whatever, and so I can see that. But then up on the hill in the midst of grass, people have lined up 6 rocks and are lighting it up, and I'm thinking, theoretically, is this kind of by the river? Yeah, but is this a good idea?
No.
Yeah, kind of scary.
Yes, absolutely. Well, again, thank you, Commission. Eric, thank you again for taking a stab at leading that charge. And happy to answer questions anytime. So obviously, I think I'll be on my cell phone, so just call me anytime, so.
Thanks, Russ.
Bye, Russ.
All right,
Here we go.
potential moratorium related to solar development applications.
John looks serious.
All right, good morning.
Still early.
Good morning, commissioners. So today's discussion is just kind of preliminary in nature. We're just kind of looking for some direction for staff. We're not asking the board to adopt a moratorium, endorse a moratorium, or make findings regarding whether a moratorium would be ultimately justified under Oregon law. The question before the board today is whether there is interest in directing staff to conduct additional review and return with more detailed information and recommendations. As the board is well aware, there's been increased public comment and concern in the community regarding continued solar development activity. Some of the concerns include land use compatibility, impacts to ag lands, pace and scale of development, and proximity to certain projects to city limits. So within a certain distance to city limits. Under Oregon law
I
moratorium.
would also add wildlife.
Yeah, wildlife's another one. So moratoria are governed by fairly specific statutory framework, a fairly specific statutory framework that requires certain procedural findings and safeguards. Any moratorium would need to be legally supportable, limited in scope and duration, and tied to a defined work program or corrective process that the county is going to undertake to address the concerns. So kind of at this point, I think what's appropriate and kind of the question before the board is to kind of first determine whether additional is warranted for a policy direction is really additional review is warranted before any final policy direction is kind of formally contemplated. If the board wishes to proceed, staff could return with additional information regarding, I think I outlined some of the basic requirements in my memo, but we could return with the legal and procedural requirements around adopting a moratorium, potential scope and geographic applicability of a moratorium, possible guardrails around a moratorium. We could also look at alternatives to a moratorium. So I think right now it's a good time to consider it, as John Eisler has noted. As recently as the budget meeting on Monday, community development received a grant from DLCD to look at the county's goal 5 in its comprehensive plan, and kind of as a part of that, I don't know if this is covered by the grant, but I know that community development is looking at updating its commercial energy siding requirements. I think you mentioned specifically solar at the budget committee meeting, but I'm assuming that falls under the commercial energy.
Yeah, I can chime in. So that's part of the grant. The grant is updating goal 5 inventory, and the other side of that is implementing our own Division 23. So they have new Eastern Oregon solar siding rules that you can opt in or opt out of. If you guys remember, we opted out of that program on January 1. And so that prevented those large scale applications from being submitted. Our goal with the grant is to implement our own program that would allow these large scale facilities, but responsibly in a manner that is reflective of public interest and protects the list interest that Will mentioned before. And we have that grant in front of us, and so we're on the track to go down that path now. It takes a lot of public input, it takes some drafting and some thought, and so that process will take probably at least 6 months to get in place.
To get in place, not get a result yet. What do you think when you're done with goal 5? How long is that gonna be, 2 years?
The whole goal 5 will be, it was supposed to be 18 months. We took some time, not we took some time. It took some time for us to get the grant agreement in front of us. And so now we're looking at 13 months. But that's for the entire goal 5 update. That includes all the resources, not just solar. And so, with the public interest, with the urgency on this, I think we will make the new solar rules kind of a priority. With that, the most important thing is our wildlife inventory. So we can jump on that first and then try to get that in place as quick as we can. There's also new legislation that I think is effective, I think July 1, that creates another, so there's new Eastern Oregon solar siting rules. There's new legislation that allows solar siting to basically fill any excess capacity for a substation, and then gives them kind of an easier carve out to get an exception to get there. And so I don't know if any applicants are looking at that here in Crook County, but that is another possibility that will open kind of the doors to more solar here unless we have our stuff in place.
Yeah, I see it as an opportunity. I brought this up a couple of weeks ago. I think you were actually out of town, Susie. But I just think it's really important that we bring in the community, all the community, people that are in favor, that are against, and have a conversation about what this looks like in the future and identify, the rules we're dealing with here in Crook County were what, 25 years ago?
No, we have, so Fire did a really great job. We have some of the most restrictive, comprehensive solar siding rules of any county in the state. And those are, I think 2018, do you remember, Will?
They're older than that, I think.
Yeah, but not
Some
that
of
old.
them were approved.
And then we did do some adjustments with our that military overlay. We added some other language in there that is also ahead of the game as far as other counties are concerned. So we're not lagging there like a lot of places are.
Well, I just think it's important. I heard from a lot of people in the community that they would like more input on where solar is, how solar is built, setbacks, things like that. And so
That's exactly what we're doing with.
Yeah. And so I think it's really important that we start this process to look at what this would mean to go through a moratorium. Obviously, we're not saying that we're going to do it, but I think we should at least look into it. I've heard from a lot of people in the community that would like to see that, and I think it's worthwhile to look and see, so we will know if we can even move forward with something like this.
The public process, a lot of public input, that's what we're doing through the Goal 5 grant. That's not, the moratorium is not that process, that's a different.
No, I hear you, but I'm saying if we were to do a moratorium now while we're deciding these things, it would put our community in a position where you could have more people and you wouldn't see projects move forward at a time when there's a lot of upheaval.
The only thing I am concerned about is, since you are going through the Goal 5, moratorium is a strong word. I would wanna cap the amount of money and staff time that we do use. I don't wanna have an open-ended there, because then you're open-ended spending money, and now you're going into goal 5 anyway. So I agree with you on pursuing it, I'm not against, but I want us to have a little bit of a look, because could a big company come in, we say this moratorium, big company come in and bingo, it's thrown out in the first legal argument, you know? So we do need to research it and kind of go, but I don't want to go so in depth when we have goal 5 within 13 months either. So I think we need to balance that,
Sure.
because we need to look at the taxpayer dollars and then balance, and not that I'm against any of it, but I just
Yeah.
want to be
No, I think we should be,
reasonable.
And I think there needs to be sideboards on it, because I don't think you can do a whole moratorium on Crook County no solar. Because then that wouldn't allow people to put solar on their house or agriculture
Yeah,
to put solar on their property to subsidize and help on their power bills. And so I think if you just totally shut it off, it's not going to be a.
I totally agree. I think that's what this process we're moving into looks at, and I think it's more obviously if you want to put it on your house, that's already a disturbed area. I think it's more looking at the larger solar strips that are connecting, because I think that's something that we did not look at in the past of, you have a 300 here, a 300 next to it, and you have that for 2 miles long. Are you really looking at how that affects the wildlife and different things by looking at each individual project versus the larger scale? And I think things like that are lacking in our code.
What concerns me though, so wildlife, one of the things was we never adopted the wildlife thing, which was very bad on ODF and Douglas part. Not all.
We tried, they
I
wanted
know.
to outlaw houses 300 feet from a road.
Yeah.
And that was.
I mean, I get it, but the other thing that concerns me, especially in spending too much time and taxpayers' dollars, if this legislation is here that says if it's by a substation, because let's face it, back in the day, that was established as a corridor for solar. We all know that. And if they have this thing that the substation is lacking energy or whatever we want to call it
Spare
into
capacity.
it, that they can just jump right over it. We need to look into it. We need to spend a little bit of time and some money. But again, I agree with Brian, moratorium is a very big word. And you need to be very careful, because you're right. People may think that's what you're trying to do. So I want to be reasonable. I really wish we could have our goal 5 update within a month, but we can't. I know that. But that would be the answer to my prayers.
So, expecting to be frank, I feel very good about our goal 5 path, about being something that's comprehensive and based on science and is defensible. Right, moratorium is a big word. Staff is already stretched very thin. Staff has a lot of important stuff we're trying to work on. I have concerns with moratorium. There's a long notice period, and so you have to get all the word out there. And if an applicant has an application ready to go and they want to avoid the moratorium, they just slip it in under the deadline. LUBA is also very, they don't love moratoriums because it is a big scary word. And so it's right for litigation. And so there's the possibility this could kind of get us stuck in a ditch when we're trying to do other stuff that's going to be successful.
Yeah. I'm not against what you're trying to do, Seth. I'm just concerned about the steps to do it.
I
And
think John's headed in the right path. I think that, I don't want to be double, have 2 sets of things going on when we can just concentrate on them.
could a quick analysis of doing this enhance you down the road with the goal 5? So could we dual use it or double?
So
Double bang
the
the buck.
moratoriums have to be based on a demonstrable need, and the need is kind of the thing that gets litigated the most. And the need would be better revealed after we go through this process as far as, what our inventory actually is, what the concerns are.
So is that
So
something
that-
that you use for goal 5 then? So really, you kind of double down, you've got the information.
But we can't get we would need, like I said, we need the studies and the maps to have the need be demonstrated. And so it would be, they kind of feed into each other. Once we finish the goal 5 process, the need would be totally apparent. And so they kind of work backwards.
So an answer, no.
It's not.
No,
Okay, you know what I'm trying to get at?
no,
Is that we could be doing some steps that enhance, put us on step 5 already in
No.
goal 5. Is
The-
that a good thing to do? I'm just trying to.
the moratorium is a separate kind of legal process. You look at different factors. There may be some needs analysis, but the moratorium would simply be a sort of stopgap while goal 5 is addressed. The good news is, as I mentioned earlier, like without the moratorium, you have to have a work plan or some sort of corrective action identified. With the work on goal 5 and the update to the code, that part of the process is already kind of in motion. But the moratorium would simply be a stopgap to make sure, before additional development comes in after the moratorium is adopted, that we're able to take into account public feedback, stakeholder concern, all of that when adopting, not only goal 5, but the updated code section as it applies to solar development. So the moratorium is really, it's a standalone, and it's,
Okay.
it's a big step, right?
Yeah.
So as has been discussed, like the courts are going to take a very critical look at anything related to a moratorium. But it would serve as a stopgap to allow that public process to happen before additional development comes in.
It would be fantastic if we could just say, in Crook County, we're trying to take a look at this, so we want to make sure that, we don't make any mistakes that we can't come back from, so we're just gonna pause. It'd be great if it was that simple.
Yeah, that's what
I would be fully in
I
support of that.
that's what I would be wanting to make a
Me too.
motion, I get, but we can't do that.
Well, and I understand you guys are busy, but again, I think that is a tool for this, and I'd like to see, a look at that to see how because I think there's a lot of value in pausing things while we're trying to figure out the right way to do things.
And I agree, but
And if we just say, well, that's too much work.
I'm not saying it's too much work, I'm saying it's fraught with risk where
Well, yeah.
the work might,
everything's
there's a good chance.
Yeah.
This is a lot riskier than most things that we would do in our office, where there's a good chance where it would not end in the outcome that we had worked for. But that's a risk we can take.
Yeah, but again, I see that as a risk the public would like to see. Because again, I think Susie, you've heard the same comments that I
oh
have.
no, I've answered 100 and something. I get it. I get what you're trying to do.
We're working on it,
Yeah.
but while we're working on it, let's just step back and say, hey, hold on. Like you said, press the pause button. It may be a hard button push. But I think it's incumbent on us to listen to the community. And that's what I'm hearing from the community say. We would like a break here while we come up with a better plan. And I think that's what we're talking about. And I see a lot of value in that.
Make sure the public knows that we did opt out of these new rules, so we did take a affirmative step to make sure that nothing too big got in the way in the interim.
So I'm gonna put this on you, county manager, who has been community development and all of this. What is your advice? Because you know both sides here, what's your advice?
Well, based on what I've heard today, I think there's interest in pursuing this kind of initial analysis. I think that initial analysis not only needs to take into account, do we have reasonable grounds to adopt a moratorium, but it also needs to take into account the risk associated with it. So not only, hard costs, but staff time. I think the recommendation that comes back to the board should be based on not only what does the statute say in terms of adopting moratoriums, but what is the risk? What is the potential cost for the county, so we can make an informed decision around that cost, knowing that in the background, we already have a plan in place to address the concern. But I think it's a prudent first step to take a deeper dive, look at the statute around moratoriums, consider, guardrails, Commissioner Barney mentioned, what kind of narrowly tailored moratorium could we put in place? If I hear Commissioner Crawford correctly, his primary concern is the large scale commercial facilities, that are mainly going in, closer to town. So is there a way to narrowly kind of tailor a potential moratorium around those concerns? So I think it, you know, if the board is interested in pursuing a moratorium, I think this is an important first step, just taking that dive, get a good recommendation, have somebody put some intentional thought into it and come back with a good recommendation for the board on pursuing or not pursuing.
Yeah, I think you have to have some good data that just, you know, pretty much describes everything that you had mentioned, rather than the emotional aspects of looking out the window and seeing solar for miles. I think there's an economic downturn to it. Economically for the county, not to have a moratorium and not have any solar. We just received, or we're going to receive a check for $1.2 million for solar, and they're all paying $7,500 a megawatt, and a lot of tax revenue that's coming into the county that the county can use. We're having sheriff's department that looks for more people, DAs that want more money. We have all of these type of things, and so if we're going to do this irrational thing all of a sudden in moratorium, then let's make sure that we've thought the whole process out. And
Well, that's why I'm recommending this first step.
there's a lot to it. It's just
Do we put
deserves some thought.
a fiscal cap on it then? Is that what you would like us to do? Because that's kind of what I'm thinking, because we don't want to spend endless amount of money. I'd rather spend it on our goal 5.
Right now, Will's just proposing this, the memo, and so the memo would have more information. Sorry, well, I didn't mean to jump in front of you, but the memo would have more information where we can make an informed decision on if the fiscal cap would make sense.
Okay.
Well, I think that there's value in using some of that money we got from the solar company, the 1.25, to do this. I think, again, I'm not saying we're doing it just because people don't like it. I think we need to look into more in-depth reasons that there would be to do it. Because I'm not super knowledgeable about land use, but I don't like it isn't a reason why you can stop things.
Right.
And so, but there are specific parts of that, like wildlife and different things. And what we heard a little bit from the city about expansion of, a solar ring around the city that cuts off our ability to expand our, commercial and industrial and residential. And so I think there are a lot of things in there that are substantive that would be part and able to be used. And so I think it's a value, and yeah, I agree that there's financial gain for solar. But we also we're here to represent the people of Crook County. And that is our main job.
And I also believe in property rights too, the agriculture that own the property. There's a lot of things to look at.
And all those people should be part of the conversation. I'm not saying it should just be a group of people with pitchforks and torches. I think we need to bring everybody. We need to bring solar developers. We need the property owners. We need to bring citizens. We need to bring everybody together and have a conversation. But it's just things are coming so fast from the state. I think this is a real opportunity to step back and end up with a really good product that everybody can be proud of.
I'm gonna just throw one little wrench devil advocate statement in here. And again, I'm for Will's thing. But in 2030, when we're rolling blackouts, how are they gonna feel about solar then?
Well,
We're burning coal in Wyoming. That's what we're doing. I don't think that's very, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's where we're getting our energy right now, is coal in Wyoming. So, yeah, I don't like it, but in
because we
turn,
rely on solar in the state of Oregon. That's why we're getting coal from Wyoming. Because
exactly,
we have a plan in the state of Oregon that is
Yeah.
unsustainable.
yes,
That all we want to do
20% is
is
renewable.
non-combustive energy. And if we continue down that path, we're not helping the problem by
No.
putting up more solar.
No.
I had a phone call yesterday. DLCD had a conference call about the executive order for enhanced renewables, and it was refreshing. DLCD is looking at a lot of different options on how to increase our solar, our energy capacity, and some good ideas. And so that part of things was encouraging. So we're in total alignment that I do feel like it would be good if some of the fees from these projects came back to help us enhance our planning abilities for the long term. I think that would be a good use of those funds.
Yeah.
And I can't say that I like solar. I'm not an advocate for solar.
No.
I don't like.
Yeah, this is big on the solar, she's looking at everything.
Yeah.
Some of the things they brought up were like, trying to incentivize rooftop solar, and especially in the valley where a lot of the energy here is going towards the urban centers and over there. And so incentivizing rooftop solar and trying to find better rules for battery energy storage, it has a smaller footprint, could be better for the grid. And community solar, and so they were looking at all kinds of things. So that was an encouraging meeting yesterday.
I hope you get to go to Texas
For what?
for the.
Oh, for that thing, that would be great,
rural care. I keep having my fingers crossed, for
Yeah.
it, so you have to let me know the instant, So I went to the thing up there in Gillum and Sherman County, and now NACO's doing one for, in Texas. And actually, I met all those people in the Panhandle because they are really getting hit hard with data centers and
Yeah.
renewable energy and all that. So I sent it immediately to John and said, you've got to get on this, because I wasn't aware that there was so many community development people there. So I'm really keeping my fingers crossed, because you will learn a ton. You'll learn way more than me, because I think some of it goes in and out, but you'll stop and you'll learn probably twice as much as I do.
It's exciting. And then as someone who spent a lot of time in West Texas, the issues that the public has with solar farms, it's much more drastic with giant wind turbines everywhere.
I think it would be amazing for you going into Goal 5. And so I'm really, like I said, I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
Thank you.
So just to kind of create some clarity here, so I'm hearing kind of support from the board for pursuing this initial review, again, not endorsing a moratorium, not making a decision on a moratorium, but an initial review that we'll look at kind of the legal and factual grounds for a moratorium. Maybe look at options for how the scale or scope of that moratorium could be narrowed to address the concerns, so we don't have just a whole county broad moratorium on everything solar related. And then also maybe some analysis on what the potential costs will be going forward, kind of around any risks that may be identified through that analysis. Does that make sense, John?
Yeah, makes sense to me.
I think that sounds very good to me.
Yeah. Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you, John.
No motion or anything.
Do we need an official
I don't-
motion, or we just
I
have
think you just-
direction?
Just about.
Providing
I think it's just kind of direction.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're looking at the public records request policy.
Yeah, so last week at the board meeting, I noted that the updated policy was in the record. It's in the packet again for today's meeting. We previously had a work session where we discussed the updated public records policy prior to having a meeting to adopt that policy. We received some feedback both from Eric and local media, and wanted an opportunity to look at that before the board adopted it. So you have a revised, updated policy in your packet, same policy that was in the packet last week. Again, just kind of stepping back to why we're looking at this right now. We're trying to create a clearer, more standardized process for public records requests, trying to ensure alignment with Oregon public records law, and make sure we have a chance to incorporate board, legal, staff, and public input into the policy. So some of the main changes in the policy: county manager or designee is designated as the administrator of the policy. One update between the first version that was presented at a prior work session and this version that's in your packet today. The term records custodian has been changed to records officer. Records custodian has a kind of a specific meaning in statute. And this has a more kind of specific, records officer has a more specific kind of meaning for us here in Crook County. We've incorporated clear request processing closure provisions. Again, another update to the revised version that you have in front of you today. We've separated the form section from the policy. So the earlier draft included references to certain forms. Those are really for internal staff use. So that section, those references have been pulled out. There's a section now that says that the county manager or designee can update those forms as necessary. This will allow us some flexibility within the confines of the adopted public records policy to make sure our forms reflect updates to law, any impact or input, feedback we receive from the public. It just kind of lets us make sure we're able to, in a timely manner, update those forms. Obviously, anything that would stray away from the adopted policy would be something that would come back to the board. I'm happy to walk through any of the changes in more detail, but I think just, for our purposes on staff side, some just quick operational points. This is all pretty standard and pre-existing, but requests must be in writing submitted through the website, email, mail, or in person, or requests not accepted. We acknowledge within 5 days, consistent with law. There's some language in there about de minimis costs of the first half hour of staff time is considered de minimis, so no charge. There's some language in there about fee waivers or reductions. Obviously, something that's still available, and we've got some processes in place to ensure that when those are considered, we're taking into account the primary concern is the benefit to the general public. So. I think we're in a spot with this updated version. We've worked again with outside counsel to kind of take into consideration the feedback we received. So my recommendation is that we would move forward with adoption of the public records policy, request policy at the next regular board meeting.
That's good to me.
Yeah.
I'm ready. Thank you all for doing that.
Thank you.
It's a new direction.
Yeah.
It's always hard sometimes going in a new direction.
Would we do consent or discussion? I think if there's value to do discussion.
I would recommend discussion.
Any discussions?
Yeah.
But I thank you for all your work on this. And I bet you in the 36 counties, Crook County is the leading public records thing. That's my belief.
I appreciate Brianna's work. Laura Westmeyer is outside counsel. She's been helpful. I appreciate Eric's feedback and the feedback we received from the public. I hope we've got a good policy.
Yeah, I'm excited. I
I
agree with Susie. I think we're light years ahead of every other county.
Yes, we are.
And we're kind of already following it, so.
Perfect. Okay, Will, landfill update?
Well, I just included that under my manager's report to make sure the quarterly report from the landfill gets in front of you. Intent isn't to spend a lot of time discussing it. I appreciate Jackie being here. If there's anything she wants to highlight, I'm happy to turn it over to her for that. But we do have an operating plan that requires regular reporting to the board, and so this is just intended to make sure you guys have the information. Whether Jackie's here or not, we're always happy to come present if you guys ever have any questions about anything you see in the report. But Jackie, do you have anything you wanted to highlight from the?
No, I was just here for the question.
Why do you think there's an 8% decrease in self-haul to the landfill? People are using more of the Republic or no?
No, I just think it's that time of year.
They're not as trashy?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, it's starting to pick up, spring cleaning, warmer weather, so.
Yeah, what quarter was that report covering? That was kind of winter time, right?
Oh, yeah. So
Yeah.
probably people went, okay.
So we're starting to see people come out of the woodworks with all kinds of good stuff.
You might see some different numbers for the
Okay.
next report.
I just didn't want people to be hoarding. We need them to be having a clean out, okay. 8% of them are hoarding.
I saw a picture where they dumped it in public lands the other day.
You know where they love to dump stuff is when you leave and you're going to the
We're doing
ranch.
advertising.
And you just,
Yeah.
Why? Everybody sees it, it's right up above there, right there, and that's what, it's
Right
always,
over the border in Troop County.
no, it's right up there. I don't need to advertise, it.
I'm
You
just
see it,
joking.
you
Yeah.
see it all the time.
Was that up Lina Highway?
No, like, so you're going to Paulina and you leave town here, you know, you climb up that hill,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of make that curve to that straightaway, all the time. And it just makes me sick, and you wonder why some of us can't see them when they're doing it, they must do it at 2 a.m. So,
I see a lot of, during hunting season, I see a lot of carcasses on
Yes.
Barnesview Road.
yes, yeah.
Johnson Green Road.
Yeah.
But it is, so you gotta think of it this way, they're biodegradable. Throwing your washing machine out is
Fair
not
point.
ever gonna go away.
Yeah.
Just gonna sit there.
And one time, all the way up there where you turn to go to Delinquent Lake, somebody came and threw out a washer, a dryer, and everything, and you're just like, why? Why?
I got the sofas.
Maybe they had some solar power and they were doing their laundry out there.
Yeah.
I don't think so, but it's upside down, thrown off a canyon, I'm not thinking of doing it.
It's yard art.
It just irritates me on public lands, because, you know, they're trying to use it and enjoy it, and here somebody throws their trash out.
We had somebody, it was obvious that they lost a tire, but they had a dump trailer, it was or not a dump trailer, regular trailer. It was a Saturday, and when we came to work on a Monday, it was jacked up, and so we were thinking, okay, day or two, they'll get it fixed and move it, and it sat there for a week, and then it sat there for another week, and then, you know, so Brad and I were kind of talking about it, and, I asked Facebook, you know, you
Who
guys
has this
gonna
trailer?
say anything, you got cameras, like anything, and then I was leaving work one afternoon, and the trailer, somebody had drug it from Facebook all the way down to our entrance and just left it there. So Mitch Madden from the sheriff's office helped us out to get it moved, but yeah, they just drug it down the side of the road in the gravel, all the way down to the entrance there and left it.
Yeah, we had that in the line up there. Somebody just left a trailer, they blew a tire, and you just kept thinking they'd come back.
Yeah,
Evidently, the trailer isn't worth it to them.
Even the dump trailer seems, feel like it'd be kind
it
of.
was a regular dump trailer, I said.
You would think.
Oh, not like a,
Yeah,
okay.
it wasn't one.
You
where-
would think there'd be some sort of a value
Yeah,
to them, but evidently.
Yeah, it had a toolbox and stuff like on the front, all set up, everything.
Yeah.
No,
No, that happened in Plain. Just left it.
Hmm.
Rainbow people left the school bus.
All right, go ahead.
No, that's it.
Commissioner updates?
So the only thing that I have is, and I know we've all gotten it, is the thing about the 4th of July. And so do we need a motion to pass that we will participate? I wish Christina was still here, but we budgeted every
I think we
year.
budgeted every
I
year.
mean, so do we need to go any farther than that, or do we need agreement? I mean,
Well,
obviously, 250 years, we can't pull out this year.
No,
I
I
think
think
they
that,
asked for a little additional money
That-
because of the.
yeah, that's the only thing that I think warrants some discussion. I think if there's funds available in your community fund to cover that additional, because I'm sure we have the bulk of that budgeted, but any additional, that might be an option covering that.
So what do you think we want to do on additional? I had it, and then I didn't go up to my office to get the printout. But I
I mean, as
just
long as
was
it's within
wondering,
reason, I think we should do a little extra.
do we just
Yeah,
give direction to, here, let me. Direction to,
How much money are we talking about?
well, I'm gonna try to figure,
100, I think. was-
yeah, I'm pretty sure. So do we increase it to 3,000, or what do we do? Media release, community fireworks, okay. So last year, the chamber did 7,000, the city did 3,400, the county did 2,400, Park and Rec 1,000, and Republic did 10,000.
I mean,
And what are
So
they,
we're
are
at
they
20, we're
asking,
at 2,400.
are they asking for additional?
So she just said,
No specific amount.
commitment, I look forward to
That's a pretty
hearing.
nominal amount of money. I would just recommend I follow up with them and see how much they're actually looking for, and if it's something significant. I'll let you guys know, but otherwise, I within my.
Right around 2,000.
Basically can contribute a little beyond your usual amount, and that is because it's the 250 years. So we're at 2,400. So I was wondering, do we just want to make a motion that if the funds are available, we just extend it to 600 and do it even 3,000?
I like that.
And I don't know, do we need to make that before the board? That's why I brought it up even.
So I tend to agree with Will. That is, I mean, I don't want to be blithe about it, it's taxpayer money, but it's a really small amount of taxpayer money, so I think you don't need a motion. You can
Okay.
just ask
Okay.
Will, follow up with
Just
it.
handle it, Will.
You got it, buddy.
I'm on it.
Okay, we want good fireworks, okay?
Is there any way they can make one of the fireworks look like the seal of the county?
I thought you were gonna ask for your face.
No, nobody wants to see
Hey,
that.
we don't want to be scared.
Yeah,
before the-
it's not Halloween.
Hey, with the drones they use for fireworks, they can probably do that.
We don't want to be scared, you know.
No, just a county seal. I think that's a reasonable request.
With the drones.
At the very
they-
end.
I'm sure they can, but
Wouldn't that be cool if they could do the county seal, that they could
They
go up
do
there?
some pretty.
They do some.
I mean, that would be really amazing.
Yeah,
Then we would beat out City of Providence.
like I know in Dallas,
How
they
about-
did one and it was like the Cowboys.
Because my house, I have to say,
Really?
it's like they personally just do fireworks for my house because it's just like.
Are you gonna have a fireworks party? We'll all come.
Do I need to have fireworks for you? Okay.
Yeah.
Better ask for us first.
You
I can
guys
see
are
it,
fine.
but I can't hear it very well.
Oh. I'm not even.
Don't even go there.
Yes, you can come over. We'll have a fireworks party. Okay. Everyone at my house,
All right.
especially if we get the county
Yeah.
seal. No, if we have to look at Seth's face, no, but county seal will go.
I'll just warn you, you guys can turn around when
Okay.
it. Brian, you got anything?
No.
Okay, we will now, public comment?
But I guess we only have, I only do have a.
There may be some public.
I didn't see any. Nobody's typing anything.
Okay. The Board of Commissioners will now meet in executive
Yes,
session.
Jackie.
RS 1926602B, conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to negotiate real property transactions. And RS 1926602F to consider information or records that are exempt from law from public inspections. Representatives of news media designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All members of the audience are also in the room. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report any deliberations during the executive session, except the state and zone of subject to the session as previously announced. No decision may be made in executive session. At the end of the executive session, return to open session, and welcome the audience back in the room. Crook County Board of Commissioners will now leave executive session under ORS 1926602E. To conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to negotiate real property transactions, and ORS 1926602F. Consider information or records that are exempt from law from public inspection. Representatives and news media business staff were allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are also in the room. Representatives and news media are specifically directed not to report any deliberations during these exercises, subject to state the subject and general subject of the session was previously announced. No decision was made in executive session. We will return to open session. Welcome the audience back in. Do I need to do that again since the tape recorder? No, got it.
Yeah.
Redundant. All right, it doesn't sound like there was any motions to be made from the executive session.
No, I think it's just an update and we'll gather more information.
I would,
I make a motion to.
there we go.
I second.
Any discussion?
A lot of discussion on this. No,
A solid half hour, 40 minutes.
I'm thinking so, yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Herman guy.
Crawford, aye.